Laura, with her sharp brunette ponytail, oversized designer sunglasses, and a notepad she gripped like a badge of honor, was the textbook definition of a Karen. As president of Willow Creek's HOA, she wielded her authority like a scepter, convinced she was the guardian of the neighborhood's soul. From the day I moved in, Laura pegged me as an outsider, a threat to her meticulously curated suburban kingdom. I'd purchased my home in cash after offloading a portfolio of rental properties, craving a quiet life. Instead, I stepped into Laura's HOA dictatorship. Within 48 hours, my front door was a collage of violation notices, one for a whimsical birdhouse mailbox, another for my porch lights, excessive modernity, and a third boldly stating, Willow Creek prohibits renters. Renters? I own the house outright. When I called the HOA office to sort it out, the receptionist chirped, You'll need to speak with Laura. She verifies ownership. Typical. At the next HOA meeting, Laura didn't even glance up from her notepad. If you're a tenant, she drawled, her voice thick with condescension, you'll need to leave. These meetings are for homeowners only. The smugness was palpable, like she just won a petty crown. The irony? I didn't just own my home. I owned 5 properties in Willow Creek, including Laura's, scooped up in a distressed landlord deal. My LLC kept my name off the records, so Laura was clueless. I flashed a polite smile, said nothing, and slipped out, letting her savor her fleeting triumph. Laura's campaign against me escalated fast. She slapped me with a fine for parking my car a half-inch off-center in my driveway, claiming it disrupted curb appeal. A community-wide email warned of transient renters dragging down property values. A thinly veiled shot at me, though I hadn't even had a pizza delivered. My doorbell camera caught her measuring my lawn with a ruler, muttering about standards, like a suburban dictator. I started archiving everything, every notice, every email, every voicemail where she ranted about preserving Willow Creek's legacy. My neighbor Mike, a quiet guy with a knack for gossip, whispered, Laura's been HOA president for 12 years. She thinks she owns us all. He spilled that she routinely targeted suspected renters, claiming they tainted the neighborhood's character. Laura's obsession wasn't just about rules, it was about control. She ran the HOA board like a personal fiefdom, with 3 loyal retirees, Susan, her bridge partner, Ellen, the treasurer, and Tom, who only showed up for free bagels, nodding at her every whim. Meanwhile, I kept my cards close. What Laura didn't know was that I held the second lien on her house. Her ex-husband had defaulted on it years ago, and I'd acquired it in a quiet transfer. Laura kept paying her primary mortgage, blissfully unaware that I controlled the secondary loan. The bank handled the front-facing payments, but I held the legal leverage. Her attacks grew audacious. She installed a motion-triggered camera on an HOA-owned light pole, aimed squarely at my driveway, calling it community safety. When I pointed out it violated bylaws, she smirked. The board approved it. The board? Her, Susan, and Tom, who traded his vote for a cinnamon bagel. She even flew a drone over my backyard, its buzz a constant taunt. I reported it, and she fired back. Aerial footage is permitted for neighborhood security. A rule she'd conjured from thin air. One afternoon, I hosed the drone down mid-flight, sending it crashing. Laura filed a police report, claiming I'd vandalized safety equipment. The officer reviewed my footage of the drone peering into my bedroom window and said, Ma'am, this looks like harassment. Laura's face burned crimson, but she doubled down. She turned to public shaming, distributing flyers with my photo, branding me a suspicious transient. She hosted a community preservation seminar, projecting slides of my house with captions like, threats to our values. I crashed it wearing a t-shirt that read, Proud homeowner since Tuesday. The room froze. One resident piped up, Aren't you the one flying that drone? Laura's voice cracked as she stammered, Let's move on. Cracks were forming in her facade, and I was quietly fanning the flames. I collected more evidence, working with my attorney to catalog Laura's violations: fake bylaws, illegal surveillance, targeted harassment. We uncovered her financial blind spot. She was oblivious to my ownership of her second lien. Then, the spark I'd been waiting for. Laura missed a payment on that lien, too distracted by her smear campaign to notice. My LLC sent a certified foreclosure notice, signature required. The day it hit her mailbox, I strolled into the HOA meeting, sporting a pin that read, "Laura's landlord." When she called my name, I raised my hand and said, "I think I outrank you now." Her scoff masked a twitch of fear. Mid-meeting, Laura slammed a folder on the table, shrieking, "This renter is trying to steal my home!" I calmly spread out my documents: the lien transfer, her payment history, the default notice. "This isn't harassment," I said, voice steady. "It's foreclosure protocol." The room erupted. Susan gasped. Tom dropped his bagel. The foreclosure amount, $15, $342.19, was a gut punch, especially since Laura had bragged about maxing her credit on a new SUV. She tried a sympathy play. "I've built this community for 12 years," I replied, "and now I own part of it." Her face went ghostly white. That night, she blasted an email to the neighborhood, begging for legal defense funds. Susan launched a crowdfunding page, but I showed the board that Laura's unauthorized lawyer hire broke the bylaws. They froze. Residents turned. Mike called it HOA mutiny. Stories flooded out. Laura had fined a kid for a lemonade stand sign, called animal control on a shifty tabby. I filed a county complaint to audit the HOA's finances and pushed for a vote to oust the board. Laura barricaded herself indoors, her terrier yapping like a lone soldier. Her desperation hit fever pitch. She sued me for defamation and emotional distress, citing my t-shirts and barbecue nights as sonic terrorism. Her lawyer, a friend's nephew barely out of law school, argued my LLC was suburban colonialism. My attorney laughed, filing a countersuit with a 30-page dossier of Laura's drone videos, fake bylaws, and harassment. The judge tossed her case, saying, "Ma'am, he owns your mortgage." The courtroom snickered. We settled. Laura issued a written apology, took a homeowner rights course, and recorded a humiliating HOA leadership video played at every meeting for 6 months. I penned the script. "Hi, I'm Laura, and today I'll explain how not to abuse HOA power." Laura's final stand was a rival HOA, the True Willow Creek Council. She hosted a barbecue no one attended and tried launching a website, which Mike bought and turned into a meme page called LorraineJail.com. Her empire was rubble. Then, the ultimate twist, a for sale sign sprouted on her lawn. Laura, who'd vilified renters, couldn't sell. Her finances were drowning: first mortgage, my lien, legal fees. She listed her house as a rental. The tenants? A young couple I'd met at a barbecue, first-time parents expecting twins. I vouched for them, covered their deposit, and processed the lease through my firm. Laura's hand trembled as she handed over the keys to the very people she'd once scorned. The house didn't rent for long. Laura's lender flagged her lawsuit history, and her financing collapsed. She was stuck, underwater in a home she no longer controlled, surrounded by neighbors who called her Karen, with cheerful waves. I used her lien payments to fund a community garden, a library, and a teen scholarship, her money rebuilding what she tried to dominate. Willow Creek transformed. The HOA, now led by Sarah, a fair-minded lawyer, became a beacon of unity. The clubhouse, renamed Laura's Last Stand, bore a plaque in memory of unchecked power and petty tyranny. Never again. Laura faded into a shadow, walking her dog at dusk, sunglasses hiding her shame. She tried to erase me, but I held her leash. Revenge didn't need fury, just patience, paperwork, and a certified mail receipt. Her reign was over, her legacy a punchline. Willow Creek was free, and I'd made sure Laura would never forget who owned the keys. What do you think? Were my jabs, those t-shirts, that plaque, petty genius, or a step too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's spark a debate. Is a little taunting fair in a feud like this, or does it cross a line? Share your take, and let's make this convo blow up.